Shattered souls. A dream to return to happier days, an oath to serve and protect, a promise to reclaim what was lost. Can we seize the future by returning to the past, or will it come back to haunt us? My name is Arthur Sterling, and from an early age I understood how rough life could be. My father was an angry man, and this was amplified by his drinking habit. My mother couldn't do anything to protect me from this, because she had to work 2 jobs just to put food on the table. The only thing that gave me any solace was my GameCube, and the only game I owned for it was Luigi's Mansion. Growing up, the only time I had peace of mind was when I was in front of the dull glow of my 12-inch Sony TV, exploring the hallways of that mansion. Long story short, some lucky investments in my early adult life led to me getting my own mansion in northern New Jersey. Despite my fortune, the feeling of the senselessness of life never left me, but at least I was away from my hometown. I wiped the sweat off my brow as I set down the last box containing everything I own. I spend the next few hours unloading all of my belongings, and I eventually come up with a decent living room setup. As I'm unboxing, my eyes light up. I find my old GameCube, the same one I've owned growing up, in that run-down apartment in upstate New York. I aggressively snatch the console out of the box and slam it into my wall outlet. The sheer excitement of the ordeal causes me to miss a couple of times, but I eventually manage to get into one of the slots. I'm sweating with anticipation, trying to hook up my console to my 80-inch wall-mounted plasma TV, causing my fingers to slip a little. And finally, it's all hooked up. But the game doesn't boot up. I feel a wave of despair run through my body. How could this be? I pop open the disc tray. My worst fears have come true. The game is missing. I rummage through my belongings, but to no avail. The only thing I could do is try to get a new copy, but it's hard to find copies in good condition for old games like Luigi's Mansion. So I did the only thing I could do in this kind of situation: search Craigslist. With effort, I did eventually find a seller. His profile picture didn't sit with me. It seemed strangely ominous, almost as if he had too many teeth. But I couldn't put my finger on it. Despite his off-putting vibes, I decided to contact him. I sent him a message asking for his price range on the game. I was willing to pay top dollar. After some agonizingly long minutes, a notification pops up. He sent me a reply.
Sure, I suppose I can let go of this very special copy of Luigi's Mansion, but you must understand, this game comes with a price.
I felt confused. Surely he didn't list this copy expecting someone to ask for it for free, right? I type a reply saying, "Sir, as I said, I'm willing to pay top dollar if necessary." Another message pops into my inbox.
No, you don't understand. It's evil.
I feel a little bit frustrated. I wasn't in the mood for a lecture on economics. I just wanted to get my hands on Luigi's Mansion. I type up another message. I know that there are some glaring problems with the American style of the free market, but this is probably one of the better economic systems out there. Another message pops up.
That's not what I'm talking about. But very well. Don't say I didn't warn you.
This was definitely a strange man, even for a Craigslist user. The days drag on, far longer than usual. Nothing can distract me from the looming urge in my soul to get my hands on that damn copy of Luigi's Mansion. Several nights I wake up screaming in anticipation, waiting for the day I have my favorite childhood video game back. I'm starting to wonder if I will ever receive it. I open the door on a fresh autumn morning to get my mail. That's when I see the package on my doorstep. I scream in delight as I rip open the sealed cardboard box. There it is, in all its beauty. It looks just like it did when I was a kid. At least, I thought it did, until closer inspection revealed that Luigi's signature mustache looked almost like it was made out of painted black macaroni. It seemed strange at first, but I decided not to look further into it. Maybe it always looked like that. It's been a long time since I've had the game. Besides, every second spent staring at that cover art was another second of my life not playing Luigi's Mansion. I shrug off my suspicions and run inside and into the living room. In a fluid series of motions, I open the disc tray, open the game box, slam the disc into the cartridge, and turn on the TV. Childhood memories flow into me as the GameCube boots up. I'm in bliss. But right away, something else strange happened. When the Nintendo logo came up, instead of the usual music, there was just the sound of static. I was a little creeped out, but I continued on. The title screen came up, but the colors were very dull, and instead of Luigi's usual green shirt, he had on a black one. The game started, and the controls felt normal. Aside from the glaringly obvious anomalies like Luigi's wardrobe choice, it felt just like the original game. Strangely though, if you listen closely, you could occasionally hear the very faint sound of blood-curdling screams, along with sadistic laughing and gunshots. It was almost as if Luigi's mansion was now located in a ghetto neighborhood. I felt a bit of fear rise up in my gut, but I pressed on. I made it to the first boss area, located in a place called the Hallway of Paintings. I don't remember this zone back when I was young, but it's been a very long time since then. One of the paintings included this Native American looking girl. She seemed to have a very large left eye. All of the painting's eyes seemed to follow Luigi wherever he went. I made it to the end of the hallway, but it's a dead end. I turned around to go back, and scream as a man with a knife jumps out of one of the paintings. Panicking, I activate my ghost vacuum, but it doesn't work on him. I keep mashing the button until Luigi pulls a pistol from his overalls and shoots the man in the head. The man drops dead, and a pool of blood oozes from the exit wound. Luigi's face transitions from a look of fear to a look of disturbance, as if distraught that he just took a man's life. I continued on and eventually made it to the final boss, King Boo. I have a gut feeling that this game isn't what it seems, but at the very least, I need to finish it before I can make these sorts of judgments. When I get to him, he seems to be a normal ghost color instead of white, and very realistic looking. When I got closer, his eyes seemed to be red instead of black, and instead of a crown on his head, his neck was twisted in a very unnatural fashion, almost as if he just paid for a $10 chiropractor. The disturbing depiction of King Boo chilled me to the core, but nonetheless, the mechanics played the same. Through sheer experience of the game, I managed to defeat the final boss. It was over. I won the game. At least, that's what I thought. When the end screen loaded up, instead of the credits loading up, red letters appeared on my screen, spelling out,
Your neck.
Before the screen cut to static, I screamed and turned around, expecting to see a scary ghost, but there was nothing there. I turned my gaze back to the TV and heard a terrifying laugh behind me, so I turned back around, screaming. The room was still empty. I kept screaming and turning around until my lungs were exhausted and I felt lightheaded. Finally, the static cut off and the TV screen brought me back to EGAD's lair, where it offered me the option to play Haunted Mansion mode. In this version, the mansion's layout was flipped, similar to the version of the game offered in the EU. I was shaken at the core by all of this activity. But the opportunity had me enticed, and I never got to play this version, so I found the courage and selected Accept. The game started like normal, but the colors were all weird and faded. I picked a door at random, and the game told me this was the Ghost Maid's room. Strange. I don't think this was a feature in any versions of the game. I went through, but didn't see any maids. Instead, I saw a single hooded figure standing at the end of the hallway. He wore a black hoodie, black jeans, and black steel-toed Wolverine boots. He looked just like the type of man who would try to sell kids cigarettes outside my school at my hometown of New York. It occurred to me that maybe this man was the one who caused the shooting sound effects and the ambiance of the game. That's when I noticed the giant gun-shaped bulge in his holster that he carried around his waist. I screamed in terror when it all came together. Almost as if the man heard my screams, he turned his attention towards Luigi and started yelling in an incoherent fashion.
Man, shit, punk ass, oompa loompa head ass boy talking about, boy, what are you talking about, man? My motherfucking guns and shit, bro. Just talking about.
I try using Luigi's flashlight to blind him, but it's no use because he has a pair of sunglasses on. He pulls out his own flashlight and shines it into Luigi's eyes, who does not have sunglasses, and my screen starts emitting a bright white light, making it nearly impossible to focus on the game. I'm starting to panic, so I start mashing buttons, trying to make Luigi turn around and go back into the main room. It's no use. The man simply unholsters his firearm and shoots Luigi dead in his tracks, causing him to slump over and die. The game over screen doesn't load up. Instead, the man aims his weapon at me and squeezes the trigger. At that moment, my TV explodes, sending glass and plastic in every direction of my living room. Pieces of TV shrapnel graze my skin, with some pieces embedding into my body. I start getting pretty creeped out at this point. I turn around and notice a message has popped up on my laptop. I hurry over to it and read the message. It's from the man on Craigslist who sold me the game. It simply reads,
Good night.
At first, I thought the man was being considerate and wishing me sweet dreams, but then I realized
Good night.
was the message that comes up on the game over screen of the game. I'm terrified. I don't know what to do. I don't know how I can sleep at this point. I'm too scared to even go upstairs to the bathroom. Every noise in my house makes me jump and search my surroundings. I check my phone for new messages, but there are none. The hours go by, and when the sun rises, I realize at some point I must have fallen asleep on my couch. I feel a sense of relief knowing I somehow managed to make it through the night. I decide to take the game off my mind and watch some anime on my iPhone. But oddly enough, the characters seem to speak in American accents. I'm not sure why, but I watch it anyway. I eventually get bored and go downstairs to get some breakfast. I realize I haven't eaten since last morning. I open my fridge, and that's when I realize that every single item of food has a bite taken out of it. I close the fridge and open my freezer, and notice that even my frozen pizzas are all unboxed and have bites taken out of them, without even the plastic wrapping being taken off. I open my pantry and notice that my bananas also have bites taken out of them, without the peels even being removed. A primal sense of fear looms over me as I realize that every bite mark has about twice as many teeth as a normal human mouth should have. Just like the man from Craigslist. I scream and run back to my room, snatching my iPhone from my bed. I dial 911 in panic.
911, what's your emergency?
I'm being haunted.
Pardon me, sir?
I'm being haunted. There was a ghost in my house. He has so many teeth. Send help. I'm losing my breath from screaming into the phone.
Sir, you haven't been playing a video game by any chance?
I don't know how to respond. Yes.
We get these calls all the time. Something about a guy who wants to relive the past, so he buys an old video game, except it isn't the same as it used to be. Yeah, it never turns out to be anything. Sounds like you just have an overactive imagination. Now, is there a real emergency we can help you with today?
No, that'll be all, thank you. I hang up the phone. Maybe the dispatcher was right. After all, it's been years since I played the game. Maybe it just wasn't the same as I remembered it. I lie down on my bed and stare at the ceiling. I start to consider all the details. Sure, maybe nostalgia obscured my views of the game a little bit, but that doesn't explain the gunshots or the screams or my exploded TV. No, there must be something else involved. That's when I hear a voice coming from my doorway.
Hello, Arthur.
I swing around and face my doorway. I see a man standing there, and he's dressed just like the hooded figure with the gun from the game. I'm too terrified even to scream, so my fight or flight instincts take hold. I try to rush past him and get outside of the room, but he grabs me before I can get past him. He covers my mouth and shoves a red pill into it.
Man, you better swallow this, you nincompoop.
What is this? I demand.
Man, it's a cherry cough drop.
He replies. I scream as the taste of artificial cherry antibiotics and menthol fill my delicate palate. He then picks me up and puts me into bed. I feel woozy, but I'm still awake. Why would you do this? I ask as he tucks me into bed. He doesn't respond, but he reaches for my bookshelf and pulls out The Very Hungry Caterpillar and starts reading it to me in a soft, relaxing voice. When he's finished, he reaches for my copy of Green Eggs and Ham and does the same. Terror fills every cell in my body as he sets a glass of warm milk on my nightstand. I begin to feel sleepy, even though I'm terrified and my mouth still tastes like cherry-flavored medicine.
Yo, man, sip on this.
He orders, and I do so, gulping down the delicious milk. Why are you doing this? I scream, sleepily.
Man, everybody gotta go to sleep eventually. Even you.
He says, menacingly, as he sets my morning alarm clock to 7:30 a.m. I know I shouldn't be sleeping at a time like this, but nonetheless, I close my eyes and drift off into sweet slumber. I wake up at 7:30 to the sound of my alarm clock. I look around and everything seems normal. My room is the same as it was yesterday. I get out of bed and notice that several teeth are missing from my mouth. Then, I notice a $10 bill tucked underneath my pillow. I pick up my phone and immediately dial 911.
911, what's your emergency?
I'm missing several teeth and I found a $10 bill under my pillow. There is complete silence at the other end of the line for a few seconds.
Sir, did you just start losing your baby teeth? have your parents ever told you about the tooth fairy?
Please, there's $10. There's a monster in my house. You need to send someone to check it out. There's another period of silence.
Sir, I'm going to send an officer to your house to check on you. Until then, try to hide somewhere and don't let the tooth fairy get you.
Thank you, I reply, hanging up the phone. I hide under my bed, waiting for the knock on my door. After about 40 minutes, I hear it. They sure decided to take their time. I rush downstairs and go to the door. I look through the peephole and see a man in a khaki police uniform. He looks gruff and has a thick mustache and aviator sunglasses on. I open the door.
Good morning, Arthur, wasn't it? I'm Officer Williams. Are your parents home by any chance?
I scowl at him. No, I live here alone.
Oh boy. Listen, I don't want to be the one to break it to you, but the tooth fairy isn't real. Your parents come into your room when you're sleeping and they put the money under your pillow.
I feel annoyed. I know the tooth fairy isn't real, but someone came into my house and took my teeth and put $10 under my pillow. He notices my missing teeth.
Gross. Well, since I'm here, I'll do a quick rundown of your house. Don't worry, I'll check all the closets and dark places where the tooth fairy might be hiding,
He says, smirking. He walks past me and into my house and walks into the kitchen.
Whoa, kid! Looks like the only monster in this house is your appetite.
He shouts, noticing all the food with bites taken out of it.
Why take a bite out of everything?
It wasn't me! It was the man from Craigslist!
Nah, I don't think there's a man from Craigslist. I've seen this one before. You had a wild house party and got the munchies. Were you smoking from the devil's spice rack? It's okay, you can be honest.
I feel flustered. No! I told you! There's a man from Craigslist, and he has all these teeth, and he took a bite out of all of my food! He clearly isn't believing my story.
Well, why don't we take a look around and see if old Toothy Tom is still here? Be tragic if he struck again. Sure wouldn't want my kids to wake up to half-eaten frozen waffles in the morning.
I follow him out of the kitchen, and he stops dead in his tracks when he notices my destroyed TV.
Jesus, kid, how'd you manage to do that?
My video game is haunted. That's what I've been trying to say. I was playing the game, and this man from the game pulled out a gun and shot my TV. Then this happened.
Well, what did we learn today, son? Always buy American. They're built to last. Where is this video game anyway? I don't suppose you got another TV?
I have a second living room down the hall, I say, pointing towards my second living room.
Of course you do. Well, let's go check it out.
I follow him to my second living room, and he notices my GameCube plugged into my spare TV.
Hey, I've seen one of these before. Yeah, I think it's the same one I bought for my nephew a few years ago. I think he grew out of it, though. They're always coming up with new ones. Wait a second, is that Luigi's Mansion?
He walks over to the console and picks up the game.
Ha ha, that's a classic. Let me see if I still got it.
No, don't touch that. That's the haunted game I was talking about.
Well, now you forced my hand. Now I gotta play the entire game from start to finish. Hand me some of those half-eaten cookies, will you, son?
No, I need those.
Arthur, you have an entire plate of cookies over there. You don't need those few, hand them over.
I reluctantly grab the plate and hand him a couple of cookies. He takes them and begins to eat them.
Well, let's just get right into it, shall we? New game? Don't mind if I do.
He selects new game, and the screen begins to load.
Now, let's get spooky.
I watch from behind the cover of a chair as Officer Williams plays through the game, ready for something scary to happen at any second. It's been a while now, and strangely, the game is playing completely normally. Officer Williams continues munching on my food.
You know, my last call was slightly scarier than this one. Want to take a guess what happened?
I'm not sure, I reply.
Raccoon got stuck in someone's trash can. You really call the cops over this?
He asks, reaching for some more cookies. I swear, it gets really scary, I reply. Damn it, why isn't the game haunted anymore? Officer Williams turns his head around to face me. Right at that moment, the man in the hoodie appears on the screen. He opens one of the hallway doors and makes a threatening gesture with his fist, as if he was trying to intimidate me into not giving him away. I'm too scared to point this out to him.
Now you listen to me, son. What some people call the worst things the world has to offer, I call that a Tuesday morning. I've seen things on a normal basis that would make a hardened man weep for humanity.
The man in the hoodie puts an index finger over his lips. Shh. indicating that I should keep quiet. I finally find the nerve to point at the screen, and Officer Williams turns back around, but right before he notices, the man slips back into our room. Officer Williams faces me again.
And I'm telling you, this game is not one of those things.
But, I start to say before getting interrupted. Officer Williams turns around again, right as the man in the hoodie steps back into the hallway, wagging his finger at me before making another threatening gesture by sliding his thumb along his jugular.
No buts! Now, like I said, I'm gonna finish up this game so I can prove to you it isn't haunted. Now hand me a plate of those individual unwrapped Pop-Tarts with bites taken out of them.
Officer Williams goes back to playing, but not before the man in the hoodie conceals himself in a hallway room again. I swear, it's haunted! Just open that door in the hallway! I beg, but he ignores me and continues down the hallway. Before he reaches the end of the hall, the man steps out of one of the doors and makes a gun with his fingers, imitating the action of shooting Officer Williams.
I remember seeing this fella. Well, seeing as he's just a ghost, I'll just use Luigi's vacuum to suck him up. I mean, it's not like he has the ability to suck me up after all.
Right at that moment, the ghost begins to warp the living room, almost as if he was tipping it on its side. My couches and chairs all begin to slide to the other side of the room, and Officer Williams starts phasing into the game. I'm left in my room, alone, staring at disbelief as Officer Williams appears on my TV screen.
Well, damn, I spoke too soon.
He says, still munching on a cookie. What do we do now? I scream. I can't believe what I'm seeing actually just happened.
Well, seeing as I am an officer of the law, I can't just leave you here to finish this haunted video game alone. I'll be honest, son, we're really up against it now. But I have a feeling if we take out the final boss, everything will be okay.
I feel a pit in my stomach. I have a bad feeling about this.
Listen, are you gonna beat this video game or not? It's made for kids, it can't be that hard.
I'm not a kid.
Well, you sure as hell ain't a man. Come on, let's get this over with. My captain's breathing down my neck enough as it is. Call me if you need me. I'm gonna do a welfare check on Luigi's kitchen.
I feel my face get red with anger. Fine, we're almost at the end anyway. I play for a while until I stand before the room of the final boss. It's the basement. I open the door and step inside. It definitely looks different from the real version. It's dark inside, and a single light bulb swinging from the ceiling reveals a room full of red pentagrams and Hebrew writing on the walls and ceiling. In the middle of the room is a girl tied to a chair, who looks about my age. Her face is completely expressionless. I don't remember this in the original, I said to myself. I walked over to approach her, and suddenly, her blank face turns into a wicked grin, and she snaps her attention toward me through the TV screen. Her eyes are bulging out of her head, and blood begins to trickle from the sides of her mouth, but it looks much more detailed and animated than the graphics of the game. Luigi steps back and trips, hitting his head on the floor. The girl begins to laugh, a deep, guttural laugh, with a voice more fitting of a demon than a girl.
Ah ha ha ha, hee hee ho ho.
She claws herself free from the ropes, and her jaw begins to unhinge, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth, and poses to pounce onto Luigi.
Hold it right there!
Officer Williams shouts, bursting into the room with his service revolver drawn. The girl shifts her attention to Officer Williams, ready to strike, but he makes no hesitation to squeeze the trigger. The bullets tear through her gaping mouth, spraying blood onto Luigi and the ceiling and walls.
That was almost as scary as the last tweaker I saw on night shift,
Officer Williams says, blowing the smoke from the barrel of his revolver before holstering it.
Now, let's go finish this game before my captain starts asking questions. I don't got all day.
I'm devastated. The whole experience felt so real. I can't go on with this, officer. Not after all this. I just can't live with myself, I shout.
Want to know what I felt after spreading pink mist all over this room, kid? Recoil. So shut the fuck up and finish the game. But nothing. The only way you or I are getting out of this is if we finish the game. So find yourself a set of balls and go through that door.
I pick up the controller and try to play again, but I just can't force myself to do it. I just can't go through the door. I can't do it. I can't go in there. It's just too much for me. I feel a tear running down my cheek.
I can help you with that. You press A, like this,
he says, signaling the action of pressing a button with his thumb. My heart rate begins to pick up. I know he's right. One way or the other, I'm going to have to go through that room. What do you think? I'm in for once I open that door, I ask Officer Williams.
Well, let's do some detective work, son. This game is Luigi's Mansion, and the final boss is King Boo. And now, given that this is the final level, I say that narrows it down a little bit.
That's it? Once the final boss is gone, it's all over?
Yes. I thought this is your favorite childhood video game, not mine. Just open the goddamn door.
I take a deep breath and enter the room. The lights flicker on, and a loud, obnoxious laugh echoes through the room. I see King Boo laughing at me from his throne.
It's been so long since I've had guests. And of course, you're the guest of honor.
He laughs again, and my heart begins to beat faster and faster,
You got this, kid.
says Officer Williams.
Now, I was in the middle of making a spooky sandwich before I painted the walls with that girl's brains, so call me if you need me.
Officer Williams says, leaving me alone with King Boo. He begins to float towards me, and my heart races even faster. It feels like it's going to explode.
So, you're the one who's been stealing all my stars. You're the one who's been making me look like a fool.
No, I just wanted to play my favorite video game. I meant no harm. King Boo lets out a guttural laugh.
Well, you've harmed now, and now thou shalt perish.
King Boo waves his hands, creating a portal.
Now, I'm going to throw you into this portal. You'll be in another dimension where there's no hope of coming back. You'll also be in constant pain, and your flesh will be burnt off every second. Yes. Only for it to grow back for all eternity. Enjoy.
King Boo laughs, and I suddenly feel myself being phased into the video game until I'm eventually pulled into the portal. I fall through the void for what seems like an eternity. I see my life flashing before my eyes. I see myself being born. I see myself growing up in my small apartment in New York. I see myself playing Luigi's Mansion in my old rundown living room by myself. I see myself playing it again as a teenager. I see all the happy times I've had with my friends and my family. I see myself playing Luigi's Mansion again as a slightly older adult. It all feels so fleeting. I'm losing consciousness. My vision begins to go hazy, and then everything turns to black. In an instant, I see a white light. I wake up and find myself surrounded in an empty, padded room. I walk over to the door and put my ear to it. I can hear whispered voices and the shuffling of feet in the distance. Am I dead? I ask myself. I don't put too much thought into it. I push against my door, and to my surprise, it isn't locked. Slowly, I peer out of the crack of the door, making sure it's clear before stepping outside. All I can see is a dark hallway. I hear a soft voice calling my name from down the hall, so I walk towards it. Suddenly, a massive fireball erupts down the hallway. I duck down and it sails over me, but I felt my flesh sear from the proximity. I scream as I duck underneath another fireball, which is followed by monstrous footsteps. Through the light of the fire, I could tell it was Bowser. Terrified, I turn and run the other way. I run for my life, listening to the sound of stomping get louder and louder. I take a right turn and keep running until my lungs are screaming for air, so I stop and take some long, hard breaths. I stand back up to keep moving. To my dismay, I see King Boo menacingly float towards me. I'm trapped. The only way out of this maze is through King Boo. I look for a weapon, anything to protect myself. Thankfully, I find a lead pipe. I pick it up and stare down my opponent. King Boo makes the motion of cracking his ghostly knuckles as we size each other up.
No point in running, Arthur. You will only die tired.
He mocks me. At that moment, we charge at each other and engage in vicious hand-to-hand combat over the pipe. He's strong, but through sheer adrenaline, I manage to keep a hold of the weapon. I manage to break his grip on the pipe and land a good swing against his body, which is surprisingly solid. He seems to be skilled in martial arts, and he manages to hip-toss me over his spectral form. I roll out of the way of a stomp and land another swing against his body. While he's dazed, I dive behind him and land another swing on the back of his head, which gives off an echoing crack, causing him to collapse. I'm not taking any chances. When he's on the ground, I bring the pipe down on him repeatedly. He screams in agony. But I don't stop until his face is nothing but a bloody pulp. I pick myself up and wipe the ectoplasm off my face. I hear a monstrous roar and the sound of stomping approaching me. I see Bowser turn the corner and face me. He opens his mouth to let out another fireball, but he seems to be too dehydrated. He rushes at me, and I duck a swing from his clawed hand, causing the wall to crumble against the impact. There's nothing I can do except run. I keep running down the hall until I see a metal door. This has to lead somewhere, I think to myself. I open the door and slam it behind me. I turn around, and I seem to be in some sort of alternate dimension. It's a luscious green field with a beautiful lake and a view of the mountains in the distance. I see a TV sitting on a table, and next to it is Officer Williams, yelling into his phone. He seems to be in some sort of heated argument with his wife.
I told you, Maria, I'm at work. I can't just take a day off whenever you want. I have responsibilities. I already have enough reason to be on the Chiefs' bad side.
He notices me and gives me a dirty look.
I have to go.
He says into the phone and hangs up, shoving the phone into his pocket.
What are you doing here? Shouldn't we be playing that video game?
I am. I think I am anyway, I respond.
Well, you're about to finish it right now.
He responds, plugging a GameCube into the TV.
You know, I bought this game for my 12-year-old nephew and he finished it in 2 days. That's really saying something, wouldn't you say?
I guess so, I respond.
No, you don't guess so. You know so. Now get over here and play the game.
I walk over to the TV and sit down in front of it, grabbing the controller. Luigi's Mansion boots up, and I get back to where I was, right after the incident with the girl tied in the chair.
Now that's some deja vu. Now finish the game before I start getting calls from the captain.
I do what he says. I go through the door and into the basement. I see several portraits on the walls, and one of them is the same Native American woman with large eyes from the hallway of paintings. Something is peculiar about it. I walk over to it and examine it. It begins to blink at me.
Hello.
It says, "What the hell?" I say out loud.
You are quite brave to enter my domain, Arthur.
No, he isn't.
Officer Williams responds to the painting.
Now shut up and let him finish the game.
You are not the one to be giving me orders here, mortal. You have awakened me from my sleep, and now you are in my domain.
The painting responds. "What do you mean?" I ask her.
I am the spirit that possessed this game. You may have noticed it's not like the others.
That explains a lot, I say.
My name is Kongawanga, and I am a proud member of the Cree tribe. For decades, my people were slaughtered at the hands of European settlers. We tried to fight back, but we were no match for the weapons they possessed. I managed to hide from them for months and hid out in these very lands you see now. One day, a group of settlers broke into my home and they killed all my family. Though dead, my spirit went into limbo. And one day, they had the audacity to build a fucking GameStop over my sacred lands. And since then, I have resided in this copy of Luigi's Mansion. I've waited for so long for someone to come and free me from this video game. This person is you.
Why me? I demand.
You must help me take my revenge on this world. When you enter the final stage of this level, look for the painting of the woman with large eyes. You have a bomb planted in your inventory. Detonate it on the painting, and it will release me from this digital prison.
Don't do it, kid.
Officer Williams shouts.
She's lying. Just push on a King Boo and take him out.
I look at my screen. There's a timer with a picture of a bomb on it. I only have seconds to act.
You have only 60 seconds to decide. Either you free me or you die.
Kanawanga orders. I look around at the screen. I'm surrounded by ghosts, and I have a ticking time bomb. I have no other options. I'll help you, I tell her.
Good. Now press on. Time is of the essence.
Son, you're not thinking straight.
Officer Williams shouts at me.
There's always another option. Just use your head.
I'm all out of options, and I don't trust you, I shout back.
Kid, I don't give a shit what you think. You're not gonna let this asshole keep us from going home. Now play the damn game!
I only had seconds left, but I knew, for the first time in my life, those seconds were the only ones I really wanted to try. I realized my entire life was a distraction to not face up to my responsibilities, my relationships, my jobs, everything that really mattered. I didn't know what the next 10 seconds of my life would hold, but for the first time, these seconds meant something. I looked at Officer Williams and nodded. Let's do it. All over, baby. Whoa. Oh my god. Is that famous Hollywood actor Brad Pitt walking into the studio right now?
Hello, guys. It's me, Brad Pitt,
Wow, Mr. Pitt.
other known as Chad Pitt.
Is
Wow.
it true that you have an 18-inch penis bone?
Well, I don't mean to brag Pitt, but yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So I hear you're a dad now.
Pitt.
Oh, excuse me, what was that?
Yes. Being a father is very rewarding. Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, you seemed to, you seemed a little sad when you came in here.
Pitt.
What was that again?
Oh, I'm so. Oh no. My family's dog just passed away. I'm a little sad. Pitt.
Okay, Mr. Pitt. Well, thank you for stopping by. I'm glad everybody got through this.
Well, I'm glad, Pitt, to stick around and say hi to everybody.
All right,
All right, take it easy, guys.
let's get out of here.
Autism at its finest, boys.
Like, favor, and subscribe. Otherwise, Brad Pitt won't ever come to your house. And it'll be very mad.
Pitt.